What's up, OV viewers, and man, have I ever talked about Dark Deception Monsters Immortals? Have I? I don't think I have, so we're going to be talking about Monsters Immortals today. Probably the closest thing we'll ever get to a horror game Smash Bros. Some of the largest announcements for this game are whenever a new DLC is announced. Hype runs rampant, speculation goes wild, and it can seem like anything is on the table thanks to the game's track record. I mean, if Glowstick Entertainment is able to secure stuff ranging from Silent Hill to most recently Roblox Piggy, the criteria for what makes a DLC contender is getting wider and wider. So I figured, why not throw my own hat into the ring and see what I end up predicting? Though I will throw this one out there as well, I don't necessarily want any of these picks to be developed anytime soon. Glowstick already has a lot on their plate, and while I'd be giddy as heck to see these games be announced for crossovers, I wouldn't mind waiting for them to be made as best as they could be down the road. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here are some DLCs for Dark Deception Monsters Immortals I would buy in a heartbeat. This is in no particular order aside from maybe the final pick, so let's kick it off with Little Nightmares. While I did miss out on this game's initial rise to fame, I've gotten more into it recently and can confirm it's a really solid title. Great puzzles, an amazing atmosphere, and a really creepy adventure filled with tons of fun character designs. So many of these would be a blast to see in Monsters Immortals. There are a lot of options here. IHS Games in particular has already drafted up a DLC concept, and it only fuels my demand to see this crossover happen. But obviously, Glowstick would have to address the elephant in the room: sizes. The player characters
are very small.
And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to just enlarging them, but who knows, maybe there's another solution out there that might work a bit better. Hopefully we'll see one day. There's honestly not much else to say, this game just fits too well to not at the very least be considered. Fingers crossed. Tattletail. Raise your hand if you thought about this game in the last year. Yeah, thought so. Tattletail actually had a pretty positive launch and success story behind it. Dropping in late 2016 around Christmas, it received a decent amount of coverage and even got some free DLC. With a win like that and how games similar to it have been handled, you'd assume the developers would have capitalized on it as much as possible. But nope. It's funny, Tattletail is like the only trendy indie horror game to not shove itself down our throats. No new installments, not much merch, and barely an official mention of it since. This game was quite literally the definition of a one and done. I know the developer has moved on to other, arguably better things, and that's great, but I don't think ditching Tattletail is the right way to go. Giving the Furby a spot in Monsters Immortals would definitely ignite some nostalgia in those who actually cared about this thing for 2 months, so I say let's do it. It may not have that inventive factor when compared to the other games I'll be talking about, but I doubt many would object to its inclusion. The only possible argument is that we don't exactly have anything to go on for mortal characters, yet we don't necessarily need them anymore. If Glowstick is at the very least considering map-only DLCs, I think Tattletail deserves some love. Doki Literature Club. Alright, this is probably the most surprising pick on the list, so let me explain. To an outsider who isn't very familiar with this game and its, let's just say, other side, trust me on this one. Vince has made it clear that Monsters Immortals will include all types of influential games in the horror gaming sphere, and out of all the recent indie horror games to arise in recent years, Doki Literature Club fits that criteria the best, I feel. Without giving anything away with spoilers, Doki is innovative, genuinely scary, and I really think this game has a shot at being something special in M&M if given the right opportunity. It doesn't even matter if it's more anime or if it's 2D with the visuals. Already announced DLCs have addressed these concerns and have still managed to impress people. Plus, we don't have many psychological horror representation within this roster, and I'm sure one of these girls in particular could deliver on that front easily. Again, this pick isn't all too popular, but for being the only game to truly frighten me to my core, even when I stopped playing and for years later, I'd fight to see this game represented in this horror crossover. To those who don't want this game, I completely get it. This is more something I want than something I believe will ever happen. But let's press on with this video, talking about a more accepted choice for an upcoming DLC. Five Nights at Freddy's World. We already have David Barron's FNAF mod, so no point in making something official, right? Yet for those who still want actual Five Nights at Freddy's representation in Monsters Immortals, I may have found a solution. FNAF World may be weird in some areas, but hey, let's be honest, M&M is pretty weird too. Just ignore the fact that Scott basically disowned the game, please and thank you. Also, if we can't get Springtrap into Dead by Daylight, this is obviously the next best thing. Dead by Daylight. You know the saying, if you can't beat them, make them join you. Vince has expressed countless interest in collaborating with the behaviorist beast of a game, so it only makes sense. It's no secret that M&M's balance can be kinda whack at points, and hey, what do you know, Dead by Daylight has that too! Also, DBD, DD, there's something we don't know, I feel. VHS. Playing M&M for 500 hours has driven the idea into my head that you always need a backup plan. If Glowstick can't secure Dead by Daylight, its recent competitor is probably the next best bet. A certain rabbit has also told me that it would probably fit way better than DBD ever could, so there's that, I guess. Resident Evil. Next to Silent Hill, the RE franchise is one of the largest names in the spoopy game scene. I'm telling you, if Vince really wants to get that concurrent player count up, adding Lady D as a playable monster should do the trick. Also, fun fact, Vince said that Silent Hill didn't fit Eminem once before the crossover got announced, so if Silent Hill can work, Resident Evil should have no issue. And RE isn't the only game we could apply this to. Zombie Army Trilogy. The upcoming House of Ashes DLC will likely give Eminem its most mature themes yet, but we could always use more zombies in the game. I mean guys, this already looks like Monsters Immortals. All the red, all the long range abilities, it'll fit right in. Slender Man. Because it's frickin' Slender Man. Come on. We Happy Few. I don't know about you guys, but until we get Mascot Mayhem in multiplayer, we're gonna need some more joy to tie this over. Baldi's Basic... Pass, never mind. Monstrum 2. The existing Monstrum DLC set the bar for all DLCs moving forward, and to this day, some people still regard it as the best one. So instead of picking a new franchise to collab with, doesn't it make sense to just go back to basics and do it over again? Because as we all know, every good thing has a sequel. Everything. Hello Neighbor... You know what, screw that one as well. Poppy Playtime, chapters 2 through however many there are. Now listen, we already got a Poppy Playtime DLC for chapter 1. In my opinion, Glowstick did the very big brain move here. It's better to meet a trend at its peak regardless of anything else. But down the road, when the game's either finished or has a good amount of chapters out, would it be such a bad idea for Glowstick to come back for another round? Granny... Alright, you know, I'm just gonna skip down the list a bit more. I clearly didn't filter this well enough. Assassin's Creed. If Yandere Simulator fits the bill by having murder, everyone's favorite side hobby, Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed just makes sense. Plus, there's a ton of characters, settings, and themes at play that could result in a pretty banging DLC, all things considered. Ezio's in Fortnite now, nothing's off limits. Among Us. Same reason as above, but beans. Among Us no doubt has popularity and has influenced a very specific side of horror gaming. The fear of not blowing your cover like a bumbling idiot and getting socially outcasted into space. It's a very exclusive genre, you see. But I feel Eminem would greatly benefit from it. Undertale. God, this game can be really dark sometimes. And there's also some deception thrown in there, so, you know. Toby Fox is obviously okay with crossovers, so he should definitely accept this one. Deltarune applies here as well, by the way. I mean, as long as we get Sans as a playable monster, I will not complain. Cuphead, don't deal with the devil, will essentially be the mantra of this DLC. Having a boss that can transform and assume numerous shapes would be welcome. Plus, I mean, devils are scary. Friday Night Funkin', we were all baited in the 2022 showcase, so time for some redemption. Same reason as Cuphead, we got demons in this game. The difference is that I only played this game once with a gun pointed at my head, so I'm not too familiar with it, but that doesn't matter. Moving on. Minecraft, there's a reason new players crap themselves on their first night. The mobs in this game mean business, and there's a lot of potential for a stage based on this blocky world. Geometry Dash, nothing is scarier than the demon levels this game has up its sleeve. I mean, look at this is insane, and as we've already established, Minecraft makes perfect sense, and this game has blocks, so, you know, go figure. Plus, the music tracks would definitely go pretty hard for this crossover. Alright, now we arrive at the final choice. I stated earlier that this one is probably the most important, and it still is. I don't know if you could tell, but I wasn't the most serious with some of the previous picks. This one, however, is different. This is by far the DLC I feel would benefit Eminem the most. Lots of great picks for characters, a unique setting for a new maze, it's been influential, and the game is even comparable to Dark Deception in a lot of camps. That DLC is Boris and the Dark Survival. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.